Hey guys, welcome back to another video here. Today we are going to be focusing on the play named Pygmalion, which was written by the famous 20th century author Bernard Shaw. Speaking of Pygmalion, the story originates from the Greek mythology, which was written by the Roman poet named Ovid. Now, giving some background information, Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion has three crucial characters: Professor Higgins, Colonel Pickering, and Eliza Doolittle. Higgins and Pickering find Eliza, which then they do a bet/experiment. During this experiment, Higgins shapes and teaches Eliza to become a lady, using the teaching of linguistics and phonetics. At the end, Eliza becomes a sophisticated young lady with the knowledge of language and develops a thought of her own. Now to get into the spicy bits. Now, three things I wanted to talk about the play today are: 1. How similar is the play to the Metamorphosis? 2. Comparing Bernard Shaw's view on women and his society's view on women. 3. How does Shaw relate his play to the Metamorphosis? Now, the play has numerous similarities with the 10th book, 8th chapter, I think, of the Metamorphosis. For example, in the play, Henry Higgins, who crafts, quote-unquote, crafts Eliza into a lady, has the same ideology of woman as Pygmalion the sculptor. Pygmalion himself stated that he hates women for their adultery against the god Aphrodite and how they are bad. Henry Higgins in Act 2 says, "Well, I haven't. I find that the moment I let a woman make friends with me, she becomes very jealous. She becomes jealous, exacting, suspicious, and a damn nuisance. I find that the moment I let myself make friends with a woman, I become selfish and tyrannical. Women upset everything. When you let them into your life, you find that the woman is driving at one thing and you're driving at another. Lord knows, I suppose the woman wants to live her own life, and the man wants to live his, and tries to drag each other on the wrong track." He voices his opinion on women through this little long phrase, I guess, line. This may be a subjective statement, but however, it relates to Pygmalion's ideals of hating women. In addition, the two texts have multiple similarities, engaging craftsmanship, of course. Pygmalion does it with ivory, he does it with speech and teaching Eliza, but there are also many differences. Differences that are presented in the play are: Pygmalion crafts his wife out of ivory and the gods enchant it to bring it to life. However, in Shaw's Pygmalion, Higgins picks up Eliza from the street with Colonel Pickering and teaches her and endows her in the teaching of phonetics. However, he doesn't teach everything. Colonel Pickering, who also started the bet, teaches her manners and gives her a sense of femininity and makes her who she is at the end of the play. In the Ovid, however, Galatea is completely loyal to Pygmalion and bears him a son. We do not see this in the play Pygmalion, as Eliza leaves Higgins and does not fall in love with him. Although there are some hinting suggestions that she once wanted support, emotional needings, I guess, from Henry Higgins, but the cold treatment that she receives drives her away. Going back to the Metamorphosis though, Pygmalion the sculptor and Galatea, there's no real love in that, as Pygmalion crafted and Galatea does not have a thought of her own. She just loves him as a god, kind of more like a devotion than emotional attraction, which then now relates to the second point that I was going on: views on women. Bernard Shaw personally had a socialist view with his lifestyle as he was in the Fabian Society. The Fabian Society during these times aimed for equity amongst the people, which included women. Liberty of choice for women were virtually inexistent, as society had standards for women. These standards included aspects of life such as gender roles, contract marriage, non-education, and many more. Shaw saw a different side from society, as he pursued equity for women as well, and critiqued the society he lived in as it was unequal. He combated this inequity by criticizing through plays and texts, in this case Pygmalion. Throughout the play, Pygmalion Male characters hint out bits of criticisms, and the female characters express their feminism and feminism in general. This quote from Eliza has to make their husbands drunk to make them fit to live with gives insight to the lives of lower citizens during this time and how housewives of that status needed to intoxicate their husbands in order to make them, quote, make them fit to live with. This other line from Henry Higgins, if you're good, do whatever you're told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom, have lots to eat, money to buy chocolates, and ride taxis, illustrates that husbands often treated wives like pets that they could be tamed using money and shelter. This quote gives us a lot of insight to what husbands thought of their wives as just dependent people, when women can be independent themselves. If there are flower girls in Pygmalion the play, there were shameless prostitutes in the Metamorphosis. Pygmalion was disgusted by this behavior and had his own thoughts and standards for a woman, which were non-talking, non-sexual, obedient, etc. Bernard Shaw, different to the Metamorphosis, expresses these standards throughout the play using his female characters. In Act 2, Mrs. Pierce says to Eliza, "Don't you want to be sweet, clean, and decent like a lady?" Suggesting that she needs to be meeting these requirements to become a lady. In our society, some individuals still think that way, but however, I believe that the term lady could be any female, and there should be no prerequisites to meet this term. The term lady may vary per person in this context as it is used subjectively and therefore cannot be standardized. Furthermore, the play elaborates on the perception of what makes a lady. In Act 5, Eliza states, which I think what Shaw would have said, the difference between a lady and a flower girl is not how she behaves, but how she is treated. And that by that she means that the person themselves are not the change, but we are as a society, and we can be the problem, not the person. We judge, we have the grasp. In addition, Eliza also goes on to say every girl has a right to be loved, to Higgins, which does mean what she said, but also I think she goes on to say she has a right to love herself and she can be loved by who she chooses to, expressing that feministic freedom or liberty. Other issues that was present there were contract marriages. Like, women were expected to marry someone that the fathers deemed acceptable for wealth and class or status or any of that. Eliza elaborates on this point and shows moral towards these things and says, I sold flowers, I didn't sell myself. Now you've made a lady of me, I'm not fit to sell anything else. I wished you left me where you found me. Critiquing the upper class, hinting out that the lower class women would have never sold themselves in marriage, once again breaking that societal expectation of marriage and class. He also knew historically that ancient Greek societies also regarded their women the same way as they did during his time. So Bernard Shaw, using Ovid's Metamorphosis, developed his own Pygmalion, illustrating to the audience his views on feminism. He wanted to show that to the people, not necessarily conflicting the idea from the Metamorphosis, but he wanted the people to feel that women are just like men. They have their own opinions and they should be not tied in a stereotypical standardization that society sets for them. Women during these times did not receive an education, and Shaw showed the significance of education by Eliza receiving education and demonstrating the rags to riches concept, which she becomes from a flower girl to duchess. Compared to a mindless being, aka Galatea, who was created by a god, Pygmalion the sculptor does not really love her, I believe, rather lusts over the concept of having an ideal lady. Shaw uses Higgins and Eliza to demonstrate women's importance and significance in this world, by Eliza going from a mindless flower girl to a sophisticated human being who has a thought of her own. Thank you for watching, guys. This was Lil Camillus with another epic video. Make sure to be like and subscribe. Peace.